Welcome to the podcast series of Crispy Info. In this podcast, we will understand about the meaning of genetically modified crops, the benefits and concern out of it. We will also know about the laws or the bodies related to genetically modified crops. So let's start this podcast. Recently, the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has amended the rules governing the selection of experts to the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee GEAC. So we will understand first what are genetically modified crops. Genetically modified crops are plants whose DNA has been altered through genetic engineering techniques to introduce desirable traits. These traits may include resistance to pests, diseases, or environmental conditions, improved nutritional content, or increased yield. Unlike traditional crossbreeding methods, genetic modification allows for the direct manipulation of a plant's genetic material, often incorporating genes from different species to achieve specific results. What are the benefits of genetically modified crops? First, to increase the yielding capacity. Genetically modified crops can produce higher yields, contributing to food security. Second, pest and disease resistance. Crops can be engineered to be resistant to specific pests and diseases, reducing the need for chemical pesticides. Third, herbicide tolerance. Some genetically modified crops are designed to withstand certain herbicides, making weed control more effective. Fourth, enhanced nutritional content. Crops can be modified to contain higher levels of essential nutrients, addressing malnutrition in developing countries. Fifth, environmental benefits. It reduces need for chemical inputs and it can lower the environmental impact of agriculture. Now we will see what are the concerns and controversies with respect to GM crops. Environmental impact. There is ongoing debate about the potential for genetically modified crops to affect non-target species and led to a reduction in biodiversity. Health concerns are also there, while extensive research indicates that genetically modified foods are safe to eat. Public concern about potential long-term health effects persists. Economic issues are also associated with the genetically modified crops. GM seeds are often patented, leading to concerns about corporate control over the food supply and the economic impact on the small scale farmers. There are some ethical and labeling issues surrounding the manipulation of genetic material, and many advocate for clear labeling of GM products to inform consumer choice. Now we will see what are the regulations with respect to genetically modified crops in India. The adoption and regulation of genetically modified crops vary globally. In some countries, GM crops are widely grown and consumed, while others have stringent regulations or outright bans. In India, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change oversees all activities, operations, and products associated with genetically modified organisms. These are regulated under the Environment Protection Act 1986. The Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee GEAC, part of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, has the authority to review, monitor, and approve all GMO related activities, including import, export, transportation, manufacture, use, and sale. GEAC is a statutory body established under the Environment Act 1986. Additionally, genetically modified foods must comply with the regulations set by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India (FSSAI). Currently, cotton is the only GM crop approved for the commercial cultivation in India. As we all know, recently the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has introduced new rules mandating experts on the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee to disclose any potential conflict of interest. So, what are those disclosure of conflicts? So, expert members must disclose any direct or indirect association with matters being discussed in GEAC meetings. Experts are expected to recuse themselves from discussions unless specifically requested by the committee. Background checks: selected members must submit detailed forms listing their professional affiliations from the past decade. There is a Supreme Court directive also. The amendments follow a Supreme Court directive from July 2023, which required the center to formulate a national policy on GM crops. The court highlighted the need for a process to address conflict of interests after allegations surfaced regarding links between committee members and biotech companies like Monsanto, now Bayer Crop Science Company. Now, in context of genetically modified mustard, the rules come in the wake of Center's controversial 2022 decision granting conditional approval for genetically modified mustard crops. The Supreme Court delivered a split verdict on this decision, leaving the final resolution to a future bench. So, what is the significance of these measures? Definitely, these measures aim to enhance the credibility of Genetically Engineering Appraisal Committee (GEAC) by ensuring that the decisions on genetically modified crops are transparent, unbiased, and free from external influence. This move addresses long standing concerns over corporate affiliations influencing policy and regulatory decisions in India's genetically modified crop sector. Thanks for listening to this podcast. You can subscribe this channel for the future updates.